everybody. How are you today? Welcome to Just Talking Business. I am Stephanie Van Bark, and I am a small business owner talking to other small business owners. And this young lady today, I actually met. I'm about to tell you a little secret about myself, ballroom dancing. And so, I kept watching her dance. She's a really good dancer. We got to have a conversation and found out we are both entrepreneurs. So I asked her to please come on the show and share her story so that we can get a little sense of what her pivot plan has been and what her growth trajectory is going to be. Hi, Mia.
Hello, how are you, Stephanie? I liked your little intro. That was
Ray,
cool.
Ray had a little jazz to it. Did you see all the different hairstyles I had?
I was like, it was nice. It was you on a train, you on a plane. I'm like, okay, all right.
Thank you very much. Thank you very
I
much.
loved
So,
it.
welcome. And I thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you
To
for
kind of get
having
in your
me.
business a little bit. But it's only business. It's just about your business.
I love
Um,
it. It's funny because usually I'm in your space, so it's nice for me to actually be able to get interviewed because I'm usually the interviewer.
very cool. Very cool. Very cool. So, tell me who you are and what do you do?
Absolutely. So, my name is Mia Still Osorno. I mean, I don't know how far back you want to go, but I won't go back to the 80s. I won't go that far back.
Okay.
But
That's a good idea. That's a good idea.
but I am a small business owner. I have been in talent acquisition and recruiting space for over 10 years. And that's actually what that made me do my transition into talent acquisition and recruiting as a business, which is funny because I actually didn't want to transition into that as a business, but it's what I knew.
Right.
And so I transitioned into that as a business. And so I have two parts of it where I have the corporate side where I help organizations with building their teams and with recruiting. And then on the small business side of it, I help with virtual assistants because not everyone can afford to spend thousands of dollars or have W-2 employees and 40 hours a week. And so I help on both sides. And then I also host events
Okay.
for resources for small business owners as well. So that's a little bit about me.
So you said something actually. I got a list of questions, but I always got to jump on something that you said. You said you didn't want to start a business in that arena. Why not? And what were you sort of initially thinking about?
So in those 10 years that I've been in talent acquisition and recruiting, I tried to start multiple other businesses. So I was
Mhm,
doing things with events because at the end of the day, I love hosting events. I used to
mhm.
do a lot of business networking events. But the thing is that, and I used to also host a show where I also would interview other small business owners. But I didn't have a plan. I didn't have
Right.
a plan. I didn't have, in my mind, it was just, let me quit my job. It's just going to work somehow. Like, I'm like, yeah, God's going to get me. And God was like, I didn't tell you to
Got
do
you to
that.
do that.
And I'm like, yeah, jumping out the window. It's going to work. And I remember my brother asking me one day when I actually invited him to see the show that I was doing. And this was, oh my God, like I said, about 10 years ago. And I remember my brother was like, well, how are you going to make money? And I'm like, I don't know. It's just going to work out. Like, it's going to happen. I don't know. But that's what happens in business. You just jump into business and somehow things work themselves out. You don't have to have a plan. And I was so extremely wrong about that.
Yeah.
So
No, that is, yeah, you're right.
I kept trying to do, and so then after I was doing the hosting and interviewing small businesses, then that's when I tried to get. That's when I was getting into hosting events, and I
Hmm.
made more money that way because I was a little bit more structured. But
Hmm.
it still wasn't. Basically, I was like breaking even, and
Hmm.
then still trying to pay my bills, which
Right.
it doesn't really work that way. And so it's just like I kept trying and I kept trying. And like I said, after like a few times, I'm like, it's funny because I'm like, I do not want to go into business for doing recruiting because at that point, I'm like, I want to get out of it. Like, I want to do something else. I want to start a business in, I don't know what, but not
Hmm.
this. And
Right.
so I was trying all these other things. And then finally, it got to the point where I was just like, you know what? Maybe I'll do consulting.
Do what
I
you
will be the person that comes in, tells you about your department, tell you what you need. If you still need recruiting, I can do that as well.
need.
And when I transitioned into that as a business, I was able to quadruple my income in 6 months. And I
Okay.
was able to turn my employers like into clients. So it was a real smooth
Mhm.
transition into finally when I decided to do that because I knew everything on that side. I didn't know everything on the business side about it, but I
Mhm.
knew everything on how to run it because I had worked in corporate. I had worked with agencies. I had
Mhm.
worked in all these different aspects of talent acquisition and recruiting, where I'm like, I can have an agency, I can have my own recruiters go, I can do all of these things.
Right.
I already have this experience. So that was different than the other stuff that I was doing that I didn't really, it wasn't like a business structure or model.
You just throwing things at the wall to see what was happening, which is interesting because I do think a lot of business owners do that. Just I've got a good idea, let's just go for it, gung ho, without thinking through a long term strategy. So I think it's very interesting and powerful that you said that out loud. That's other people mostly, and honestly admit to.
Because I want people to know, because I used to think that there was something wrong with me, because I'm like, business must not be meant for me, because if it was, it'd be easy. It would be easy to get into it. It would be easy for it to just like me make money. I wouldn't have to put all this energy into it. And I just wish more people would have been honest and been like, no, it's actually not like that at all. And so the more I kept trying and the more I kept talking to people, and I kept realizing that they have the same, like they have similar stories. And it honestly, for me, where that pivotal point was, where it got to the point where I was just like, I know job wise that I'm like, I can't do this forever. I'm like, I can't. I know that even if you give me a C-level job, you pay me $500,000 a year and I can retire on that, that's not going to make me happy. And it was getting to the point where I was almost pushed into that as a option, like for business, because there was nothing left for me in corporate. Like I was literally like pushed into it. So that's what I wanted.
So you talked about really quickly, you said, if people had just been honest and finally you talked to some folks who were honest with you, who were, and you don't have to throw out names or anything, but just, the identity, I guess, of the people that were not very honest and those people who were very candid about this is how this really goes.
Absolutely. So I feel like people who weren't very, like people that you meet, like let's say you just go to like a networking event, and I know that everybody they want to have their best foot forward. They want you to work with them. They want to come off as like they're doing better than what they are. And so I'd go to events and it would be people who are like, yeah, I have 6 businesses and I'm doing this and all these things. And I'm like, wow, I'm just like, I'm struggling with this one. And 6 is a lot. And it just was like, it was just so many people who were doing all these businesses and they were all doing so well. And they didn't have they had a few challenges, but they all just like went out on a whim and it worked for them. And I was just like, wow, okay, well, that's not the experience I have. So and I was explaining to one woman, I'm like, it doesn't, it takes a lot of work. A lot of times people think they can just quit their job and start a business and it works. She's like, yeah, that's what I did. It just worked that way. I'm like, did it?
Okay.
Listen, I'm not mad. If it did, that's awesome. Now when I speak to people and I talk to my brother, he has a business and he's just like, it's a lot of work. It's real. Like it's not, every day's not great and it's still a struggle. And then still years in, we still have challenges. And just actually really talking to people and listening to them, where it's like I get to know people and I know them more on a more personal basis. And they're just like, yeah, no, I had these workshops and nobody showed up to them. And I'm like, I thought I was the only one.
Which means you need to find who is your mentor or who are just people that you put into your business circle that can really give you the god awful truth.
Now, when I hear people talk about how if they're like, everything's so great and this and this, I'm not gonna lie, the interviewer in me is gonna dig in like, oh wow, that's nice.
Wow.
So one girl tried to do that the other day. I was at a networking event and I was telling people, I do not advise you quit your job and start a business if you do not have funding and you don't have a plan, because what's going to happen is you're going to start this business. You're going to have to use your money for this business. Like you're going to have to use the money you make for the business and yourself. And if that's your only source of income, that's so stressful because you're just starting out. You can't put that much money, like I said, back into the business. And then you're supposed to pay all your bills with this as an adult with a mortgage and car and gas.
In this market.
Right. That's stressful. So this one girl's like, yeah, I just got to the point where, I just want to start my business and I quit my job. I didn't argue with her. I just said, okay, that's awesome that, you had that experience. But then a couple minutes later, we were still talking and I'm just like, oh, how did you get into it? And we were talking about support. And she was saying, yeah, my family, I finally told my family that, they're not going to have to help me anymore, that I'm going to just try to do it by myself. And they're like, oh, thank God. So I'm like, So it's not like you're just doing so great in business that you jumped out and
Right,
it's working.
right,
You
right,
have people that literally have to help you.
right.
That's not how,
Right,
like,
and
that's
you have to be honest about that. If that's how you're living, then that's how you're living. It's okay. It's just you can't expect that everybody's going to jump out there and be an automatic success. 10 minutes after they get out of there, which is what I think we perceive a lot when we are
of course.
listening to folks in this market who are so successful.
I know. That's why I'm like, stop doing that. Like, be honest. Be honest with like where you were. Like I said, you could be super successful now, but be honest with how long it took you to be there.
Hmm.
Be honest with how many times, if you quit your job and made it work, be honest with how many times it took you to quit your job and how you went back to work multiple times.
Right.
And then you know what I mean? Like, just be honest with what that journey looked like, because I was invited to do a speech for during Women's Month for a conference. And again, just like I was telling you, a woman asked me about telling my story. And I said, do you really want to hear my business journey? Because I will absolutely be 110% transparent. And I gave the speech. And I remember afterwards, I sat down and my husband texted me and he said, how do you think the speech went? And I said, I don't know. I made him laugh a little bit. That's always like a good sign for me. I said, but because I knew how transparent I was being, I'm like, I don't really know if this wasn't like a rah-rah, like for business. I don't
Right.
really know how many people are going to feel inspired by this. So like one or two people came up to me and they're like, I really liked your like talk. And I'm like, okay, thanks. They're being nice. By like the 18th person that came up to me, I was like, okay, maybe they really did like this. They
Uh-huh.
were just like, it was relatable.
Right.
I appreciate your being vulnerable. Like this one girl came up to me, like crying, saying, like, I inspired her to like, she was thinking about going into business. And after hearing that, she knew it was for her. I'm like,
Are you sure? Did you hear the story?
which I told her, you
Did you hear what I said?
because the thing is that I was honest with them. I was honest with how long it took me to actually build a successful business, how I got funding and I didn't know what to do with it. So I ended
Mhm.
up putting funds in different things. I didn't mess up everything, but I
Mhm.
didn't have a plan. And
Mhm.
how I quadrupled my income in 6 months, but at the end of the year, I lost 75% of my income. And I ended it with letting them know that the only reason why I was able to get through that is because of the support that I had,
Okay.
because of the support that I had from my family, because of the support that I had from like my husband, the support that I had from other people in business that were
Mhm.
like, "What do you need? We can help you with this. If you want to come promote your business at our events, you can do that. What can we do for you?" Like that is what got me through it, and I am forever thankful and grateful for that.
Right.
And so I ended on kind of a positive, like your network matters so much. And these are people that it's not like I talk to them on the phone
Uh-huh.
every or every week or anything like that. These are just people that I know in business that are
And you
like,
could lean into.
yep, that they're like, and I was honest with them. I'm like, this is what's happening. I'm concerned. Like financially, I am scared as an adult. Like no adult wants to be like struggling with not knowing about how they're going to pay their mortgage or
Right.
all these other things. And so, like I said, to be able to have that support and people that are actually like, what do you need? We will help you. And then, like I said, that being, for like I said, friends, family, associates, people in business, it was it was just something that I just didn't realize that I even had.
Mhm. But you had that kind of support.
Exactly. And so that's what got me through that. So I think maybe that kind of saved it at the end where they're like, okay, like support. But I just want to be honest with them. It's a tough journey. It doesn't mean that you should stop. But if you don't want to go through those type of trials and tribulations, business might not be for you.
For you, which is actually a conversation I have a lot with folks that we've had on this show that are about business development. And I've asked them candidly, is everybody equipped to be a business owner? And most of them are like, no. I mean, but we are unfortunately in a market where there is sort of they're selling that message or that mantra that we are that this is for everyone. And so, talk a little bit about there are two things you talked about that I actually want to get to. Talk a little bit about, when do you know that you are, and when do you know that you don't? And then you talked about how you quadrupled your income and then lost 75% of your income, which forced you to pivot. And that's what this show is all about. How did you stay alive and thrive in challenging circumstances? what was that pivot, and how's it going? Where are you going with that?
Awesome. So wait, I want to make sure I answer
So the
them.
first one was, that's a lot, right? The first one was, is what, how do you know if you are, and how do you know if you aren't ready to be a business owner? What are some of the checklist things you should be looking for?
In my opinion, and again, because I talk to aspiring small business owners all the time, and since it's something I'm passionate about, I always ask people, and people, a lot of people have something that they want to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like it's being in business is almost something that's like kind of like romanticized, or like
Mm-hmm.
people have like this, like it's just these dreams. So I feel like people people want to do these things, but they're really not going to put the work into it. So I
Right.
feel like you know when you're ready, when it's something that you can't stop thinking about. When no matter what you're doing, no matter like you're at work, you're at home, like you're just like like it gets to the point where, like I was telling you, it's like it's not even an option
Mm-hmm.
anymore. Where you're like, I have like, and that's the point that I got to, where I'm like, I have to do this or I will lose it. Like
Right.
I am river dancing on my the last bit of my sanity if I do not get this business started.
Right.
And I think that that's when you know you're ready, when that's all you think about, and you know that it's not nothing like when you know that even if your business takes a little while to get off the ground, you're like, I don't care how long this takes. I am prepared that this is not something that I'm going to jump into this month and then I'm going to see all these crazy results in a few months. It's great if you could, but you might not. And it
Right.
doesn't matter because you're still going to do it day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year. When you get to that point where you're not just looking for something quick, where you're like, oh, okay, I want to do this event, I want to make $1 million off of it, and then I'll be great. It's like, no, know that you're going to have to do this event and another event next year and another event next year. And you might be fifth, sixth year in before this business is able to sustain itself. You might have to work a job during that time. And
Mm-hmm.
there's nothing wrong with that. Like that's another thing where people make it seem like they quit their jobs and their businesses worked. There's so many people that had jobs, full-time jobs, while they had their businesses, and then once their business actually was, and I mean like millions of successful, I'm not even talking about like a little successful, like millions of dollars like
Mm-hmm.
coming in, and they still had full-time jobs.
Right.
So getting to that point where you know that this is, you don't have another option, and your business is something, even if it's something you only touch 20 minutes a day, it's something that you work on your business every single, I mean, obviously, you know, you can take the weekends off, but at least 5 days a week you are working on that.
Mm-hmm. Actually, weekends too. I mean, even if you do, like,
I
there's
don't want to
something.
push for it because I know how I know how I am with working. And I remember I was talking to my niece about this, and I was telling her she wanted to get into business, and I'm like, I'm not telling you got to be psycho like I am. I'm like, because I was working 6.5 days a week
Mm-hmm.
and working on my business before going to work, working on my business on my lunch, working on my business after work, and then doing it on the weekends. I'm not saying you got to do all of that,
Right.
but you have to be consistent. You
Mm-hmm.
have to be consistent.
Mm-hmm. That's
Or
true.
or you're not going to get results and you're going to get frustrated.
That's true. So tell me, your personal pivot. You talked about, and I know you and I have talked about this. I wanted you to share this. We were open to it. You started off your business; it was doing very, very well, and then tanked.
Here we go. Then, so it's funny. So yes, so came in. I'm making, like I said, well into six figures, like mid six figures. I'm like, wow. I'm like, I'm never going back. I'm like, this is great. And I'm like, like everything, everything that I worked on, like all the issues and challenges, all lead me to this. It makes sense now. In my mind, it made sense. And it's funny because I said, all I want to do is work on like small businesses. I don't really want to work with clients because, um, that wasn't my passion. I told you I didn't want to start at that in the beginning. So I'm like, I just really want to work with small business owners. But the thing is about the VA, because I have VAs that are US based and I
Mm-hmm.
don't charge a lot because I want it to be affordable for small business owners, I don't have a big spread. So I
Right.
can't support myself off of what we make for VAs because I gotta hire my I mean I gotta pay my VA who
Right.
lives in the US, who needs a regular wage. They're not from the Philippines. I can't pay them $2 an hour.
Right.
So it's funny. So I said I do not want to continue to have my corporate clients I just want to work on my VAs. And within like 30 days of each other, I lost both huge corporate clients, like the biggest clients I had, I lost them both within 30 days apart from each other. And I was just like,
Oh my God.
right. I'm like, I wanted to get rid of them, but not yet, and not
You,
like this.
you shouldn't have said that out
I
loud.
said
You
it.
shouldn't have said it
Should
out
not
loud
have
because the
said it.
minute
I
you
was
put
like,
it
this
out
is
there, it's like,
not what I wanted. Girl, so I was like, I for a while, so for just like some months, I was just full force into like my business because I'm like, this is a sign that I can just somehow struggle and figure this out with business with no income. I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to make this work, but I'm just going to push and do this. So I started, and it's great because I was able to put a massive foundation together for my business during that time. But it got to the point where it's just like, okay, what are you going to do? Because your business is not bringing in. I found myself in the exact same spot that I had been 3 other times before, and I was so
mm-hmm,
frustrated because I'm like, I tried my like literally while I when I lost those two clients, I was looking for another corporate client,
mm-hmm.
and when
Which is
those two
something you didn't want to have to do.
and I just like I didn't want to, but I was because I
Mm-hmm.
understand. I know how it feels to struggle, and I didn't want to be in that space again. So I'm like, I don't want these corporate clients, but because I want to focus on small business. But I am going to get another client because
Mm-hmm.
that's going to help me. I'm going to be able to hire more people, and then I'm going to be able to focus on the small businesses. That was my game plan. Nope. I worked on a client that I didn't get for like 4 months. Actually,
Right.
working on it 4 months it took me to get that client. Point though is during that time I was like trying to do all these like side things like Instacart, which was terrible. It's so much work for such little money.
Right. 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 Right.
Oh my God. I was like doing that and I was working on my business and then I do other things on the side as well. Like I do career coaching
Right. Mm-hmm.
and I love that. That's something I love. I don't do it full time, but I love that. I don't care what I do. I love the career coaching, the interview coach, like going over their resumes and stuff. I love that. But I had to go and get a job because I'm just like, I can't keep, as much as I don't want to get a job, I can't keep playing around like this. And
Right.
I had to go back and get a job until I was able to get my clients to come through. And like I said, it took me months before those clients came
Right.
through. And and it was just crazy because I'm a person that I'm used to when I really want to get something done. If I put enough time into it in a short period of time, I see results. So if I
Mm-hmm.
really want to get something done, if I work hard on it for a week, I am going to see results. And I'm just
Yeah.
used to that. And this was the first time that
It
didn't.
wasn't that. Yeah.
I was working on it day after day, week after week, month after month, and I was making progress, but it was slow. It's steps. I
Mm-hmm.
can't, there's certain things that I did last year that is going to pay off for me in 2024.
There, I have a friend, an entrepreneur. Actually, she owned a beauty salon. She actually did my nails and toenails and all that stuff. She ended up selling her business to her daughter. But she said she found that her business trajectory sort of had that it was cyclical. So every
Mhm.
5 years, something else would happen that would change the direction of her business, either good, bad, or indifferent. It was every 5 years, whether she did something or whether it was just the universe. But so you'll start to find those same kind of trends of oh, this is supposed to happen. Oh, this is supposed to happen around this time, just because that was just how her growth went. What's your growth trajectory?
So I don't,
Did I ask you a powerful question, maybe?
girl, my like like honestly, it like I said, it's funny because it's like, and this is what made me so focused finally in business because before what happened is the same things always would happen to me. I'd start something, I see a little bit of success,
Hmm.
and then I want to say this is all under like this is all within 9 months, right?
Hmm.
I start a business, I'm getting everything together, so it's all those moving parts putting it together, and then I see immediate results. Not a lot, not a ton, but something where I'm like, look at me, I'm getting stuff done, and then it slows down.
Hmm.
And then
Hmm.
I'm just like, but wait, I thought this was yeah, I'm like, it was going up here, and then I was like, nope. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. It was going up. Like every time I put my I'm telling you, Stephanie, every time I'm like, I want to get something done, whatever area I'm in, I connect with amazing people. I meet like celebrities, like all these things. Like I connect with all the, like, I'm just like, I got it. I'm in the right space with the right people. And then there's something, it's not even a plateau, it's a dip. And then as soon as that dip happens, I'm like, what am I supposed to do?
Uh-oh.
Right. And then I give that dip a month or two, and then I'm like, I'm out because obviously this isn't meant for me. So I got to the point where for this, when that happened to me, because the same thing happened with this business, and I was doing, except for my success was way higher than it had been previously. So I started it with crazy, like what crazy success in the first couple of months. That lasted about the same amount of time, maybe about 10, 11 months. And then that big drop happened. And I'm like, I'm not above this. I thought I was past this because I had a plan. But there was something else that happened. And so, but the difference is that now at this point, now we're over a year.
Okay.
At this point though, I'm like, no. So my trajectory is like, it's going up, no, drop down. But then it's like now I'm slowly building. But the way that I'm building now, it's like I'm going to surpass where I was. And now we're just going to keep it up here. We're going to keep it up here.
So when you drop down, you're still within where you need to be.
Yes. Hopefully there's not very many more drops. I mean, I know there might be some dips, but hopefully no more drops. And then, but at least there's a strategy in place so that if there's a dip, I still have other things in place.
Just okay, fair enough. So look, because I need to be able to survive. I'm with you. So let's talk a little bit about the business itself.
Okay.
The human resources industry, which is what you're in, or talent acquisition, is I've come to learn as of 2021, the numbers say a $19.38 billion industry. That's a lot of money.
That's a nice amount of money.
Now, it's projected to, according to the information that I read, to grow at a 12.8% by 2030. Do you believe that is still the case, considering, we talk about folks aren't looking for jobs anymore? That's the thing we keep hearing in the news. So do we think those numbers are still accurate? That projection is still accurate? And then why aren't people looking for jobs? Or is that just not true?
Okay, so from my opinion, from my experience, COVID changed everything.
Absolutely.
In recruiting.
Changed the game. And I was going to ask you, how did it do it? So go ahead.
Completely. And it's funny because right before COVID, so it's the same thing, just like honestly, it's like the economy. It's up, it's down, it's up, it's down. And that's just how it's always going to be that way. So right before COVID, it was a strong employees market. And so I remember I was talking to a candidate on the phone and I wanted to set them up for a phone screen. They don't even have to drive anywhere. I just said, hey, I want to call you. I want to set you up with a phone screen. And I remember the candidate said, oh, okay, well, how much where is it located? I'm like, okay, we're located here. And then he said, okay, well, how much does it pay? And I'm like, okay, listen, I will definitely go over, because I'm going to do the phone screen. So I'm like, I'm going to go over all of that information for you when we do the phone screen. And I remember he was like, well, I don't want to talk to a company if you can't tell me how much it pays right now, because we're in an employees market.
Oh, wow.
I said, we're definitely not. We're like, yes, it's an employees market, but not for everyone. Like,
and you can ask for a ridiculous amount of money for everything.
We still need you to be a good person. We still need you to be professional. Like, like an employees market doesn't apply to you with that attitude. So I politely let him know. I said, okay, have a blessed day. And I hung up. I'm like, this isn't for you. Like, it's an employees market, but that doesn't mean we're just willing to take anyone. An employees market is when you have your job openings and the people that are qualified are great where they are, and they have room to negotiate where they can ask for more things, because it's tough because there's not a lot of people applying. That doesn't mean that you don't have the qualifications and we're going to be desperate for you. We still need what we need. Right. So I think a lot of times candidates don't understand that. They think it's an employees market, which means, I can come in as an HR background and I can get an engineering job. No, you can't. It still doesn't help.
And an engineering salary.
Right. Like that's not always gonna work. Now it depends though. I'm not gonna lie. I feel like people sleep on talent acquisition because I didn't come into talent acquisition saying I want a ton of money. I literally came in because I'm a dork and I wanted to help people find their dream jobs. That's why I got into recruiting and talent acquisition. But I've been able to break well into it. And I'm just talking about as far as my regular, like W-2, like just regular role as far as being in upper management and director roles of well into six figures. So
Okay.
I've actually made more than some engineers. And I was surprised because I said, oh, I was like, look at me. It's not what you think of when you think
Right.
of, for me at least. I didn't think about that when you think about HR, but surprisingly, I remember looking, it was an electrical engineer, and I was like, I'll make more money than you.
Who knew?
I was like, look at
I
that.
went in the right
But my point is that a lot of people thought it's an employee's market. I can just act whatever type of way I want. And then COVID happened. And then everybody's getting laid off. So
Right.
then now it's not an employee's market anymore. But then a little bit after COVID, like a year into it, now everyone's hiring and nobody wants to go back to work.
Right.
So now we're like,
I hear that all the time.
now we're like, well, what's happening? Where are all these people at? Like everyone's hiring. And then so now we're at a spot where I feel like we're in a good space where
Okay.
there's still people hiring. My opinion is there's still, there's, if you have a position and you need it filled, unless it's one of those super niche positions,
Mhm.
you can connect with people and you can actually like be able to, like, I think it's pretty even right now. Like,
Mhm.
I don't think there's still some people, and I know a lot of people when they were getting all of their like stimulus and all this money and all
Mhm.
these
Mhm.
breaks, they were starting businesses. But
Right.
I think a lot of those people realized how much work goes into that. And I feel like a lot of them are coming back into the workforce as well.
Okay. Good.
So I think it's as of right now, and this could change tomorrow, but as of right now, from what I see, it's pretty leveled right now.
So how is that impacting small businesses? And I can sort of speak for myself. You and I are in the same market. We're in the Miami market, where they just passed the law in Miami-Dade County, where employment, minimum wage now is roughly at $15, give or take, if you give insurance and benefits, etc.
Mhm.
That's been a huge conversation among small businesses. Also, the talent has been, let's face it, for small businesses, is not necessarily always the easiest to find.
Mhm.
So, what has been the impact you found on this employment thing when it comes to small business? And what are some of the recommendations you can give to small businesses about trying to identify the best talent for
Mhm.
the monies they're able to offer?
So that's a good question. I feel like for small business owners, because they have to get creative with
Hmm.
who they're hiring because they are still building themselves. So I always tell people, I'm like, if you can get a virtual assistant, and I don't just say that because I have my business is part virtual assistants. I'm like, if it works for you and you can do the overseas ones, I did mine for US based because I didn't like the experience I had. And that's how
Hmm.
I'm transitioning into adding that into my business. But you need support. And so if you can't do 40 hours a week, you're going to have to either get part-time people.
Hmm.
You're going to have to get some virtual assistants because that's going to help. Interns are
Right.
helpful as well. I know a lot of times people are like, yeah, interns, I don't have to pay them. I guess, I mean, I get interns and I pay them. It's not a ton, but I do like a stipend where at
Right.
least they get
Right. Right.
something for their time.
Right. I
So
agree.
I like doing that. But you also have to realize as a small business owner that if you're working with a virtual assistant that's overseas, if you're working with an intern, that they might not do everything to how you want them. And you're going to have to deal with that. You're going to have to work
Hmm.
with them. You're going to have to coach them a little bit more
Hmm.
because you're not paying the amount of money for a full-time professional. And so you're going to have to compromise on that.
Yeah.
And if you're okay with that, and you're going to have to be because you need help. I
Right.
do not recommend that even if no matter how small your business is, or no matter how not serious you think it is, I never agree with people being in a business by themselves and not
Exactly.
having any support. It's overwhelming, it's stressful, and you're river dancing on burnout
Yeah,
quick.
I agree. I agree 100%. It's a hard thing to be a solopreneur. I actually have a VA overseas for what I need her to do. It's been working so far. I would love to bring it home primarily because I really do believe in you need to sort of support your own, but that's a completely different dollar amount in the
Right.
States. So it's hard to. Um, there's a huge difference in
You have to do what you can for, like, you have to do what you can at the moment.
until
So
you can get to.
right,
Mhm.
until you can. Like I said, for me, I have an assistant, and my assistant's not full time. And I used to have a full time assistant, but now I don't. I just have a part time one, and I just don't ever want to go back to just being like me again. So I
Right.
have, like, I have an assistant, I have VAs that work for me, for other people as well. But it's, and even with the little team that I have, it's still a lot of work.
Hmm.
um that's why I think it's cute when I'm doing this event and people are like, oh well, don't you have other people doing things?
No, I can't afford other people.
I'm like, first off, the little team that I have, they're doing stuff, but do you realize how much work that I have? Like, my little team is busy. I'm busy. It's always something to do. I'm like, we need more people to
Right,
do
right, right.
more things.
But
But
then I
it's
gotta
just,
pay those folks. How
then
do
you
I
gotta
do
pay
that?
them.
I only
And
got
I'm
a
like,
certain amount of money. Yeah.
listen, unless you got some people that you can bring over to me. And I mean, the thing is that, like I said, I've had interns and assistants, but there's certain people, but I'm at that place in my business where I do need professionals. And
Uh-huh,
so
exactly. Yeah, same here. Same
and
here.
so I can hire another intern, and it's not going to cut it at this point, because
Hmm.
now I needed to step it up. So it's funny that we're actually talking about this, because I'm actually working on something now that I actually haven't started with it at all, but I'm working on doing it. Instead of like virtual assistants, I'm working on virtual. I'm going to change my model as far as my business to virtual teams. So if
Oh, okay.
you need someone to help with, like, and this is all going to be based on like events, because I like being very niche, because I feel like that was like beat into me
Hmm.
in business, where it's like, niche, what are you doing,
Right,
your focus. And so because of that, I'm so laser focused all the time, because I wasn't before, and I just feel like I just got pushed into that direction
right.
so much, where I'd be talking about what I want to do and people are like, what's that, I don't get it, it's so vague. So now I'm huge on focus. So I wanted to be focused on events. So if
Hmm.
you need an assistant to help reach out the sponsors for you, we can have someone that can do that, and they're a professional in that. If you
Right.
need someone to help you with your email mailing list, to get emails out to them, we have a sequence for you, so
Okay.
that you know what emails are supposed to go out and when. And it's a professional who this is what they do. Because, like I said, I was getting to that problem myself, where I'm like, okay, I need professionals to be able to do this. But again, having people full time to do that costs a lot. So what I'm going to do is have it as a virtual team, where you don't have to hire them full time, and they can get those things done for you, and they're professionals, so you know that it's going to be done well.
Right. Okay, good. Perfect. Perfect. Look, growth trajectory. There you go. Scaling.
Right?
There you go, scaling. So, okay, let's switch the script a little bit. Let's talk about your conference. You have a conference this weekend. I'm sorry, we're just getting it on today, but
It's okay.
it'll be annual. So, tell us about, where did this idea come from, and where, what will we experience on Saturday? I'll be there, by the way. I hope y'all come out.
Stephanie's definitely going to be there. I'm so excited. So this event came from, I was talking to people that have businesses, and they were saying how they felt like they were alone, and they, all these things, like, they just didn't feel like they had anybody to bounce ideas off of, and they don't know how to get their business off the ground. And I'm just like, there's too many people in small business who you can talk to, and there's too many resources out here to help you. And so I wanted to create this event to be able to bring in one space people who can help with business funding, people who can help with business investing, people who can help with like to tell you about self publishing,
Mhm.
people who can tell you about starting a nonprofit organization, people. me, who can tell you about creating events for profit.
Yeah.
Because the thing is that you do events, and you can do an event, but that event can you can come out of pocket for that event really fast, really
Right.
quickly.
Right.
And not just having an event, but having an event, making an income off of it, and actually building it and building your network in the process as well. And we're highlighting some of our small business owners like Stephanie that's going to be there, and I'm super excited about that. And we are also, which I'm super proud of as well, for Angels Reach Academy. It's a school. We are actually going to have a lot of our exhibitors are going to be having a raffle. And
Oh,
so what we're doing is we're going to let the people at the event know, like, to please purchase a ticket. You can put it in a raffle. They're going to have a raffle item, and then we'll pick a winner, and they win whatever that is, and 100% of that, those proceeds, go to
very cool.
Academy.
Very nice. Very nice. Very nice.
I'm super excited about that.
Very nice. So that's so this is going to be an annual event. You said will that happen around this time of year? And I think you said it was going to be in more than Miami.
Yes. So the next one, so we're doing, it's going to be annual. This one's going to be for Miami, and then we're going to do New Jersey in September.
Mm.
I had to close my eyes as I said that because I just thought about all the work that went into this one.
And then you start all over in a whole nother city.
Exactly. Why not? Have an event, they say. It'll be
Might
fun.
as well.
Doing another one. And then we're
Right.
going to do Atlanta in February. So we're going to keep it that way every year. Every year it's going to be Atlanta February, Miami and Miami in May, and New Jersey in September.
Why those other two markets? I mean, because I know you live here. Man.
I do. So to be honest with you, it's very strategic. I picked Atlanta and New Jersey because those are my other two spots where I have the most resources. I don't play games. I'm not going to go somewhere just because I think it's cute or because I'm like, oh, this seems like something that other people do. Most people wouldn't pick New Jersey. They would pick Philadelphia because that's a
Mhm.
major city. I'm picking New Jersey because I'm from New Jersey, and that's where all of
Mhm.
my business resources started at. That was my
Mhm.
foundation. Like, that is where, like, I have people coming to my event from New Jersey that are flying down for this.
Okay.
That And I used to try to do that all the time, like have an event and get all my people from back home to come up here. And I'm like, why don't I just have an event at home?
Right. And
So
they will
I'm
definitely come. Yeah.
absolutely. And Atlanta is the same way. I mean, I didn't live in Atlanta, but I have, especially because of speaking, I have a huge foundation, like a huge like foundation that I feel comfortable with being able to host an event in Atlanta, being able to still reach a nice amount of people and having that support. Like I said, that's hugely important where I have people that can connect with me about these things and about the speakers and putting things together, and it's not all on me.
Okay. Okay. Well, when you go to Atlanta, I know a couple of business owners, so I'll make sure I put that
Let
information
me
out there.
know
Help you
about
fill
them. Let me know.
it
Let me know.
out. So, okay, two last questions, and I promise I will leave you alone.
No
One of
worries.
which is going to be a little bit personal. I won't,
Ooh.
I won't get too nosy, I promise. So, you are an industry professional. I'm going to your bio now. You're a
Okay.
wife, a stepmom, a pet mom. You have two puppies, a cat, two sugar gliders, and a leopard gecko. Um, and you're running two businesses in three markets. So, or two businesses, one of which in three markets, because if you think about Nine to Thrive, how do you manage your day? Like that has been the question of the day, and I'll own I'm the first one to say this might be a personal question because I'm trying to figure it out myself. How do you manage your day, or do you just kind of wing it like I do?
I'm gonna be honest, my day, and I have to get, again, full transparency, I have to get better, but I normally start my day really early, and it's just, especially like this last week, and I just like work the entire, like, I just literally, my whole day is working. I'm literally working from, and this isn't gonna be long term again, but it's like 6 a.m. till like 11 p.m. And it's just like,
Is there the thing that you focus on doing? I took from Radical Partners. I took a time management workshop, and they talked a lot about there 80% of the day you should be working on this. Actually, their theory wasn't wrong. It was
mhm.
just trying to apply that theory is
It's
very difficult. So
I'm not massive with with that type of structure. I'm okay. I'm great with loose structure. I'm not great with structure. So what I mean by that is, if I have tasks that I have to do that I don't want to do, or big tasks, I try to get them done as soon as possible, because I know I'm not, like, by the time 9 o'clock comes, I will take a break to like make dinner, but I'm going to be irritable. I'm
Yeah.
not going to have the patience to do that. But if it's something mindless where I'm copying and pasting something, or I'm answering something, I can save that until later, because that I can, that my mental capacity after 15 hours can still handle that. But
Right.
whatever it is that I have to do, if it's a bigger project or it's something that's going to take a lot of brain power, I need to get that done. Those things have to happen first, because I just know myself, and I will be working. And then eventually I'm like, I'm done. I'm tired. I'm done. I'm not doing it. I don't care what else. I'm just not.
Right.
So that's how I manage my day, where it's just like, I do have a list of things that I have to get done. There's certain things that aren't going to get done today, and that's just it. My list is never going to go down to zero. I've accepted that. That's fine. But the most important things, it's just not going to happen. But the most important things, I gotta get, like I said, I gotta get them done. And I gotta get them done early. And then some of those little things I can put off to the end of the day. And even sometimes it'll be some things that I wanted to get to, and I couldn't, and they were kind of important. Well, then they got to be first thing for tomorrow. So that's the type of structure that I have. But if I was to tell you, like, and I answer emails between 9 a.m. and 10:15, I can tell you right now, that's not it.
Not how that works.
That's not how it works. What it really looks like is I'm on the phone and I'm like, no, I'm working right now. Oh wait, an email just came in. Oh, okay. Hold on. Someone's calling. Hello? Yeah, I'm on another
your
line.
mental space at this point versus.
I'm telling you, that's my day. Literally, I'm like, hello? Yeah, hold on. Yes, I'm sending this. Hold on, give me a second. Let me answer this email.
I can answer.
Okay.
What'd you say, honey? Because you know you got to answer your husband if he comes in. What'd you say, honey?
Then the puppies show up. I'm like, what do you want, puppies? Yep, that's my day. That is my day. But like I said, it's before it was a focus thing where I'd kind of drift off. Now it's just like I have so much to do that I'm like, I'm there, I'm getting it done. But I would definitely say organization is really important, because if you don't keep things organized, that's stressful. When you don't know where anything is, like that, I can't do. I'm not organized by nature. I'm not. But I would rather take additional time to be organized than the stress that I can feel because I'm not organized and I got everything everywhere. I can't do that.
Right. I agree with you. I am organized by nature. I have to sort of have. I need to be able to find things in its place, and if not, I have a meltdown. And
I would have things everywhere, but I just can't function. I'm not successful that way. So I have to put everything in here, and it has to, just because I have to at this point.
Right. So tell us how we can find you.
I'm glad you asked that. So you can find me on Instagram. You can find me on LinkedIn. You can find me on Facebook. On Instagram, I am Goal Crushers with a Z at the end, because my husband said that I'm old, and that's why I put a Z at the end of it instead of an S. He did. He was like, "You're old. You put a Z at the end." I'm like, "People don't do things like that anymore." He's like, "No." I'm like, "Oh, please, okay."
I think that's hilarious. Okay, I'm sorry.
I know that. So Goal Crushers with a Z instead of an S _ Mia, MIA. On LinkedIn, I'm just Mia Still Osorno. And on Facebook, same, Mia Still Osorno. Super easy.
Thank you so much. And I found your company name on there as well. I want to let everybody know if they want to check out what's going on with M&S Talent and Consulting. That's on Facebook as well, because I saw that.
Yep, and 9 to Thrive's on Facebook as well.
Okay. And I saw your website, actually. So I want everybody to check it out, follow it. Maybe you want to go to one of the other conferences in Atlanta or New Jersey or home in Miami, because it will be back around. I want to thank you for coming out today. This has been a wonderful conversation. I'm going to tell you how you know, because I had all these questions. And I didn't think I answered asked half of them, because we were just flowing. So I love that.
Right.
I love that.
I get it though. And that's why I think that's so I'm proud of you because girl, when I come into my interviews, I probably have two questions and I'd be like, hey, and then you're right because of the conversation, other questions
Exactly.
show up. But
Exactly.
I love that you have like all those questions there. I love that you do your homework on stats. Like I love all of that. I really, really, really do. Like
I try. Well, thank you so much. Come back again. We wanna talk to you more about how
love
your
that.
pivot has in your trajectory. And I will see you Saturday. I'm really looking forward to the networking opportunity and the learning experience.
I'm so
Um,
excited to be highlighting you on Saturday. So thank you so much for having me, and I will see you soon.
See you soon. Talk to you. All
Awesome.
right,
Bye.
bye. So, thank you everyone for coming today. I think that was a wonderful conversation. I got to be honest, I think I learned a little bit more than maybe you did. But, definitely was able to she was really great at telling us exactly what we need to expect as a business owner. And I think that was wonderful information to learn. We will be back here on Tuesday, this Tuesday, 5:30, same time. I hope to see you there. And I hope you will learn more about business through Just Talking Business. We will also be releasing this show again on YouTube. So I'll let y'all know when you can find it, when it'll premiere. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great day.